And we are live for another episode of Freedom Fridays with Dana Lee. Hello, I'm your host, Dana Lee. I'm a diet recovery coach. I help women heal from decades of dieting damage. That's yo-yo dieting. It is gaining weight, losing weight, constant. Either you're defining yourself as I'm on a diet or I'm off a diet. And mostly it's women who have been doing this for decades, right? From like the 80s and 90s. So if you're here with me live, say hello. I'm psyched to have you. If you're on the replay, please type in hashtag replay so I know your eyeballs were on this topic and this was a useful topic for you. I always want to hear your feedback. So talking about portion control and eating in moderation. So whenever I start talking to women about what I do or our history of dieting and the dilemmas that come up with that, the on again, off again, and all of the rules and the emotional roller coasters and all of that. One of the top things that women share with me that they're struggling with is portion control and eating in moderation. So because I get that so often, especially as if you join the Life Beyond Dieting group, I ask you a few questions when you first join the group. If you're ready to break free from dieting, and also what are the biggest food issues that you're dealing with right now. So that's how I oftentimes come up with topics to talk about on Freedom Fridays, or I have other posts that I share to explore the things that you're struggling with. So that is what I'm getting a lot when I'm asking that question. What is the thing you're struggling with food right now? So I have a few things to share about portion control and eating in moderation. So I just want to quickly pull the video up on my phone to just make sure I'm getting all the comments and I don't miss a darn thing you guys have to say. All right. So if there's anything that comes up along the way, please let me know. You know, I love to share. I love to share with the community, not just what I have to say about it, but also what you have to say and what your experience is, or if anything like makes sense to you, it clicks, it resonates. Do you have questions about it? And then I can help you unpack it and explore a little bit deeper. So before I get into, there are specifically 4 things I want to share about portion control and eating in moderation. I always do recommend that you get out like a pencil and paper or a journal or something, and you take some notes in these Freedom Fridays because things can connect and go off in your mind, maybe in a way you haven't heard before. And I often will say, hey, okay, pay attention here. This is a writer downer. So get it down on paper because it helps you wire your thinking with your body, like the movement in your body. There really is power in pen to paper. So I have like journals and I've been getting into sketching and drawing lately, which brings me to, so before I go over these 4 things, I want to invite you to my Roadmap to Food Freedom in-person event. So I have 2 of them coming up. One in April, it's Sunday, April 10th, and the second one is Sunday, May 15th. It's an all-day workshop where we get to work with a group of women, small group, in my fitness studio in real life. I provide lunch because if we're going to be healing food issues together in this Roadmap to Food Freedom, then I want to make sure that we can talk about that. Like there isn't any weirdness or anxiety, or if you do have anxiety about food or going out to eat, this would be a beautiful event to attend because you'd be super safe with me. We could talk about all the feels, what's going on, all this push-pull, our relationship with food and how dysfunctional it has become and that we make ourselves wrong for it and we're ashamed of it. So the reason I wanted to do an in-person Roadmap to Food Freedom event is I have run them successfully online for since last year. I've done 3 of them, and some of you met me that way, or got to know me a little bit better that way. And that was through the pandemic, which has been awesome. We were able to connect all over the place. However, I feel like that is something that's really, I'm also hearing with women is like, we miss the connection. As much as, we love technology, we lean on technology for a lot of things. The reality is when you're dealing with emotional eating and binge eating and dysfunctional eating and hating your body and self-image and self-esteem and all of that, it can be really lonely. It's a really lonely place to be in your head. And I wanted to create an all day where we're together, where you get the opportunity to realize, wow, maybe I'm not so lonely. After all, maybe what I'm struggling with, there are other people going through similar, and that we all have stories. And in sharing that, it releases the power it's holding over you. Okay, so I am going to throw a link in the comments in Facebook, in my Facebook video. Let's see if I can find it. All right, here we go. Okay, watch live. So that way, if this is calling to you, check out this page. So you can check out some of the details. I am going to have a coloring book along with it, just like I had my last virtual roadmap to food freedom. So this is something that has been so fun for me. I have my BFA in graphic design. I have my minor in exercise physiology, but for years when I was building my gym, I put pencils down and I just stopped drawing. And more recently, I've been really embracing this idea of like, when I look at how I healed my relationship with food and my body and exercise, you know what? Part of it was joy. I found the joy in food and in my life and in moving my body. And that was part of my healing process. So then I realized there were other areas of my life, like how I approach my business and how I approach my career could be so like, I'm so serious. Yes, when we get on, I'm having so much fun teaching. I absolutely love teaching, but the entire structure of like running my business and everything that's involved in that and being an entrepreneur and the ups and downs and all of that, I took far too seriously. So my word for this year has been joy. And part of what I decided to do is to tap more into my creativity. My mentorship community is doing the same thing. There are women I'm working with on their mindset with food that have started making jewelry. They've started painting. They've started drawing, doing photography, all sorts of really fun outlets of expression. So I decided I'm picking up my pencil and I'm going to start drawing. So you're going to start to see more from me on that, where I'm providing some like coloring opportunities for you. But one of them is in the Roadmap to Food Freedom event. So I have, we're 5 lessons we're going to go over. Lesson number 1, and each of them is going to be kind of the top of the hour. So it's going to be 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on that day. 10 a.m. we're going to go over, obviously we're going to introduce ourselves and really get to know one another. So that way we feel really safe. What happens in the Roadmap event stays in the Roadmap event. And that, we get to know each other, introduce in our stories a bit about our dysfunctional eating, how we got there. What are the things we really want to work on? What's the intention we want to set for the day? Lesson 1, we have to clear the mind. Okay, so I'm giving you an exercise right out of the gate at the start of our workshop where we get to clear the mind, because it can be overwhelming, full of clutter. We're pulled in a million directions, always putting ourselves on the back burner, which is once again why I want to hold this in-person event, because that way you are completely contained and no one can pull at you and distract you, right? So and I do see someone had shared, oh my God, just saying this, I'm so tired of dieting, being at it for 6 years. Girlfriend, you are in the right spot. I'm so happy you're here with me because yeah, it is exhausting. 6 years, 10 years, 12 years, 2 decades, it's exhausting. So after we go through lesson 1, where we clear our minds have to be open in order to receive the new information. So you truly can heal your relationship with food in a profound way, in a way that is going to last beyond our day together. So we have to clear the mind. So I'm going to start you there. The next lesson 2, we do at 11 a.m. And the reason I'm doing all these at the top of the hour, I'm going to teach the lesson, but we have interaction. We're going to be able to share our insights. What are the things that are coming up? What are the things we're learning? So it's so powerful to be in person. I'm just so excited about it. So number 2 is we have to begin with the end in mind. Who are you without dieting, right? Like, that is really, really important and oftentimes overlooked. So we have an exercise in creating, what does the picture of your life look like when you are free from food? Sometimes that is the most difficult question for my clients to answer, because they have a hard time, even their identity is so wrapped up in it that they don't even know how to form their life free from food. So therefore the food struggle stays there, because they don't know how to expand their mind and horizon to see who they are on the other side of that. So we do that together as a group, which is going to be so fun, because we get to share different ideas and you really start to give yourself permission to explore. Then we're going to have lunch. So we have lunch together, and I take, don't worry about food allergies or sensitivities. I'm really sensitive to that. And I want to make sure lots of food anxieties come up. So we're going to address that, and it's going to be all good. And if you want to bring your own food, you can do that as well. I have a refrigerator. I have a little induction stovetop, although the weather's going to be warmer, I might not want soup, but just saying, I do not have a microwave, but I do have a toaster oven, and I also have a blender. So I have a little kitchenette area in my studio. So you will get your food accommodations, not a problem. Okay, then after we come back from lunch, and of course we're going to talk about lunch together, of like how we're approaching food, how do we feel, what's going on in our mind, so we can really learn. Then the next thing, when we come back from eating lunch, we will also be exploring the places where in our minds we're stuck in our belief system. So for example, I don't think I will ever lose the weight. That's a limiting belief that's going to stop you. So let's take a look at those limiting beliefs and figure out a different way to understand, where did I learn that? How can I flip it around? Is that even true? And we're going to dissect that in a really powerful exercise. Lesson number 4, you get to steal my food freedom formula. This is something that I do 365 days of the year. It's a little bit about what I'm going to talk today about portion control and moderation. It truly is food freedom. I can leave. If I wasn't all plugged in here, but I show you in my cabinet, I have chocolate. In my fridge, I have things that are like in my freezer. I've got ice cream, and it just sits there. And sometimes there's ice particles that form on it. I can have that there, and it doesn't take me over emotionally. I don't overeat on it. I have it when I want it. I leave it and don't have it. It's just not a big deal. And this is coming from someone who struggled with binge eating and dysfunctional eating for nearly 2 decades of my life. Okay. So from being a teenager all the way into my 30s. And I've been living free, I would say, like over the last 10 years, like 7 years solid, but like there was a 3-year period that I was really focused on the healing, and then it became easier and easier after that. And then we're going to map it all out. So the 5th lesson of the day is actually the roadmap. So like I said, it's a coloring book. I'm going to have actually signage. There's 12 things I'm going to go over in your roadmap, and we're filling in the blanks, and you're going to be able to get a really clear picture as to what your plan is, your strategy, and a different approach to food freedom than you've ever experienced. I would absolutely love to have you there, regardless of where you live. I do have a hotel nearby. So even if you want to stay the night before, or maybe stay the night after, right? Drive in that morning or something, and then stay on Sunday night, there is a hotel nearby, and I'd be happy to offer, the details of accommodations. Okay. So, all right. So all of that for $250 for the day. Okay. So it's totally worth your time. It's a life-changing event. It really is. So, all right. So let's get on to, and if you have any questions about that, please let me know. I will continue to read comments, and you can always send me a private message too, by the way. So let's talk about portion control and moderation, eating in moderation, and the problems that come up with that. Why is it eludes you so much? It's something that you've struggled with so much. So I have 4 things I want to share in particular. So the first thing is with portion control, it uses the word control. I mean, that in itself, how do you feel when you're trying to be controlled? I live in the United States. The freedom thing, I mean, this is all around the world. This is a global thing. The pressure on anyone stealing our freedom, it hits some buttons. Am I right? So why, in trying to control your food, would that be any different? So using the words portion control inside, your inner rebel will be like, fuck that. I'm going to eat whatever I want. You can't tell me what to do. There's a pressure of that restriction that creates the opposite effect of what we're going for. So the words portion control it sets you up for trouble. That in itself, because there's all sorts of connotations around the word control. And actually, I would love to hear from you. What are some things that you are like, when I say the word control, what comes up for you? Can you share a few things while I take a sip of water because I'm talking so much? I'm double fisting. I have my water and I have my coffee. I have my water and my coffee. So what comes up with control? Yeah. Hi, Teresa. Wow. Was that a little aha? Yes. Tightness. Ugh. Tightness, control, restriction, limitation. What else? Yeah. Suffocation. Maybe even like, oh my God, control, like pressure pushing down on you, and not just the Queen song. Yeah. It doesn't feel good. To have control, like to have control on us does not feel good. So there's going to be a pushback. There's going to be pushback with that. So you're already setting yourself up for this ain't going to fucking work because you're not going to tell me what to do. But it is so used in diet culture. In dieting, portion control. Got to control your portions. It's setting you up for failure because it's messing with your psyche. It's messing big time with your psyche and all of the connotations that are associated around the word control and feeling controlled and feeling like our freedom's taken away from us. So if your food freedom is taken away from you, you will rebel. And even if that means you're harming yourself, that is the kicker of it all. Even if you're choosing foods that like you're already kind of feeling full, but in your head, you're like, no one control me. No one can control me. So I'm going to eat another slice of cake. I'm going to have a second helping of mashed potatoes. Meanwhile, you don't really want it, but that petrified of like feeling control, like, oh my God, in the next meal that I'm going to have to control, so I better eat it all now. It sets you up for a perpetual ongoing cycle. Okay. So, all right. Thank you for playing along. Yes. Tightrope, impossibility. Yes. Thank you, Teresa. Super helpful, powerful words. So, yeah. So, my YouTubers, they're just on my Facebook group, they're just sharing like, yes, tightness, constriction, like you're on a tightrope, like not feeling good. Okay. So, number 2, eating in moderation is just another diet. I hear it all the time. It's, well, if I could just eat in moderation, as if that's breaking free from dieting. It's not. Eating in moderation is the same as portion control. It is still restriction. It's still trying to manipulate your food. And it's not actually a healthy way to approach food. I'll get to that in number 3, which I might as well just go there. Let me just slide right into number 3. So portion control and eating in moderation is a side effect of giving yourself permission when you want. It is about giving yourself permission to eat what you want and when you want. And what I will say is in my Roadmap to Food Freedom event, I have this whole exercise around permission that is really powerful. And I would really love to go through it with you in person. It will change your whole approach to how you look at food, especially when you're scared. So what is coming up for you around giving yourself permission to eat what you want when you want? Oh, hearts. Thank you. Thank you. What's coming up for you around giving yourself permission? Are you scared? Are you scared to give yourself permission? Do you not trust yourself, perhaps? It is the secret ingredient. Because when I started healing my relationship with food, like I said, whatever that was 10 years ago, I had to go through a process of allowing myself to eat what I wanted when I wanted. And then what ended up happening is that those peanut butter cups, that's how I leave it in my cabinet because I've given myself permission around it. It's not a moderation thing. I don't try. I'm not like, okay, I'm going to take 3 of these and that's all I'm going to eat. It's not what I do. Because even if I take 3 of them, what will happen is I'll have 1 and sometimes that's enough and I will put the other 2 back in the cabinet. That is the power of permission. It is very different than control and feeling rebellious against the control. Permission is light and free and like, wow, I have choice. I have choices. And when I have choices, I have power. So permission can be very dicey and a very difficult step for a lot of my clients. So I know what I'm sharing today seems like very simple, but I do want to also emphasize how much I understand the difficult process of going through it. And this is why beyond our videos here, I offer other ways to work with me, because this is a lot to unpack when you're dealing with dieting for 6 years or 10 years or 15 years. It's layered. There's a lot in there. So we have to take some time to go through it to uncover, release, let go, and heal, right? So permission is another one that, especially if you've been told your whole life of you can do this, you can't do that, this is okay, that's not okay. So that can be a very uncomfortable feeling because there's a trust issue that often goes with along with permission. And so you can't truly give yourself permission with also at the same time practicing trust. How do I trust myself? When you're so used to listening to a diet coach, a nutritionist, a meal plan, following what other people are doing, other strategies, other approaches, then when you try to come up with the you diet, then it is kind of can be scary territory. However, that is the diet for you. It's the you diet. And diet, I mean, not the restriction. I mean, it's the way of eating, right? There are two different ways we can use that word. It is diet as in diet culture, restriction, following, rules and plans. And then there's also diet as in, well, this is just what I eat. This is what I eat and how I eat. And this is just, what I'm doing on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, whatever. This is just how I eat, right? So I hate that word has been just butchered and taken over. Okay, so then it brings me to the last point. So this is number 4, right? So number 1 was using the word portion control, right? We don't like to be controlled. Our inner rebel is going to come out every single time and actually sabotage and just create more of our problems and not be able to control. Number 2, eating in moderation is truly just another diet, just another way to manipulate our food. And number 3, the portion control and moderation is a side effect when you're able to give yourself permission to eat the food when you want to eat the food and whatever food you want to eat. That permission is powerful. And then so this brings me to, here's my last takeaway. And this is really, really important. Eliminate portion control and eating in moderation from your vocabulary. Just don't even say it. Don't even use the words. That's not even on my radar. That's not even I don't even think about when I'm making a sandwich or I'm making a plate for dinner or Steve and I are cooking dinner together. I don't even think about portion control or moderation at all. It is not in my vocabulary because it is part of diet culture. It's part of the set of words and phrases that have been literally fed to us that keep us in the problem. So it's not even part of my vocabulary. So slice it, dice it, and kick it the fuck out the window. All right. So get rid of it. It ain't helpful. Okay. All right, you guys. So that was my take on portion control and eating in moderation for today's Freedom Friday with Dana Lee. Thank you for showing up live. Thank you for watching the replay. If anything here came up for you, struck a chord, you had any ahas, any connections made, I love to hear them. And the other ladies in our topic and in our group also want to hear what your insights are as well. So please, please, please share. And I would love to see you in that Roadmap to Food Freedom event, one of them in April or May. And then I will take some time off for the summer. I might have another one in the fall. So we'll see. We'll see. I've got other things up my sleeve for this year as well. But I really am missing this in-person connection thing, the virtual stuff. Come on. I mean, how many more Zooms can we get on, right? So I just feel like this is a way for us to really cut out the distractions, put the phone away, pick up our colored pencils, really come together as a group so you have a streamlined thinking process in really giving the proper attention to yourself and healing your relationship with food as you deserve. as you deserve. Instead of it being pulled in a million directions, everyone else and everything else is more important than you. This is an opportunity for you to sit down and say, look, universe, I'm important to me. This matters. This is affecting my life in such a capacity that now it's holding me back from being the person I want to be. It's affecting your self-esteem. It's affecting your confidence, perhaps even asking for a raise at work. Or maybe if you're in your business, I've also heard this, I'm afraid to get on camera because I don't feel good about myself. All sorts of things that this starts to ripple out and affect in so many ways. So let's take the time, take one day together, and let's address it properly so you can give yourself the love and attention that you deserve to heal your relationship with food, which means you're going to heal the relationship with yourself. That's really what's happening. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in. I love these Freedom Fridays with you. They're so fun. Please share any other topics you're struggling with so I can put them in the lineup in upcoming weeks. All right, hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. It's beautiful here in Jersey. I've got sunshine coming through my window here. I'm going to go out and take a little bit of a walk, put in my earbuds, listen to some good music. You are so welcome. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you so much for joining today. And I will see you guys on the next one.